Okay, first and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hakodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect. So I want to get into this video titled S.A. Mother Furious After School Presentation References Incest and Bestiality. Right, a school presentation is crazy, right? It shows you the world that we live in. Let's jump right into it.
A woman is taking legal action against the South Australian government over claims her 14-year-old was exposed to a school presentation referencing bestiality and incest. In her only television interview, the mother explains why she plans to sue the state.
Nikki Gaylard feels betrayed and heartbroken about what happened to her daughter Courtney.
Courtney just said, "I didn't want to be there, Mum, but I didn't know what to do."
The mother of 6 is set to file a lawsuit against the South Australian government in Adelaide's District Court after a presentation at Renmark High School to Year 9 girls last year allegedly referenced bestiality and incest, presenters using the terms sister love and brother love.
And my daughter comes home and feels uncomfortable hugging her brother because she's confused about whether that's because it's her brother.
Miss Gaylard says the girls were also shown graphic images of a topless woman post-gender transition surgery, the surgical scars visible. The mum withdrew her teenager from the school the same day. School principal Matt Evans apologised at the time for the inappropriate material and for not seeking parental consent ahead of the presentation. The South Australian Education Department suspended.
No, I think it said the principal, right, apologized for not seeking consent, but what the fuck even made them think that was a good idea? Like, what made them think this was normal, that people would be okay with this, right? And we know the answer. It's because this world is corrupted, man, completely corrupted.
Provider Headspace Berry from delivering the Respectful Relationships program to public schools. Ms. Gaylard says she's taking legal action to ensure this doesn't happen to any other family.
There was zero protection for my daughter that day. Zero. Nothing. She had no one she could go to.
The lawsuit is being funded by faith-based legal organisation ADF International. Spokesperson Lois McLatchy Miller was previously in Australia supporting a Canadian activist in successful action against the e-safety commissioner. She says the South Australian case shocked the organisation.
This is an incredibly strong case. This really gets to the root of the problem that we're seeing across the world.
While legal proceedings are yet to be filed in the court, Sky News understands these are imminent and will name the state of South Australia as the respondent. An Education Department spokesperson said while what happened at the school was unacceptable, it was an isolated incident and steps have been taken to ensure it doesn't happen again. A Headspace National spokesperson admitted aspects of the presentation were inappropriate, and it had since strengthened its guidance to centre operators. Caroline Marquez, Sky News.
Law.com.
I'm just gonna jump right into the scriptures, man, because this world is so fucked up to the point where you can't even, it's just, there's only so many words you can use, right? And that's why the Lord needs to return to clean this place up. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, right? Speaking about Alexander the Great, quote, the Great. Verse 8, and his servants bear rule, everyone in his place, right? Going into his 4 generals that basically, you know, took hold of his kingdom right? And they all got their own sections. I believe it was Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Antiochus. Seleucus, not Antiochus, but Antiochus was of that Seleucid line, but Seleucus, however you pronounce it. Verse 9, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, again going into them, gaining reign over their own, prospective regions. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Right? Evils were multiplied in the earth. Now this is specifically dealing with, like I said, the Greeks, right? Alexander and his crew, but evils were multiplied in the earth, and that continued on, right? Because we know the Greek Empire was the beginning of who ruling? Esau, Edom, the wicked of this world, the so-called white man. So as it says, evils were multiplied in the earth, right? And it kept continuing because we're still in their rule. And that's why things like this,
A woman is
right, even happen. A school, right, where children are supposed to go to learn, to actually learn, right, and learn how to maneuver about in life, learn the basics like math, and learn things that's going to help them in life, right? That's what school is supposed to do. That's what school is supposed to teach you. But they're being presented bestiality and incest, and obviously the school was like encouraging that type of stuff based off what the video was saying. And it's because evil is multiplied in this earth that is even a thing, that's even happening, that they thought it was okay. Now, yeah, this happened in South Australia, but the root is Esau. The cause is Esau, man. They're what's wrong with this world, ultimately. This is Revelation chapter 17, Salakia, verse 4. It reads, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornications. Right, and that woman is going into America. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Right, so America is the heart of what's wrong, or the heart of the wickedness in the earth, because America is would be the capital of Esau, Edom today, the capital of the wicked today. And that's why the earth is the way that it is now. If we look into this word Babylon, right, mystery, Babylon the Great. Babylon means confusion. The word here is Babylon, in the Greek, but it means confusion. And that's ultimately what the world is under. Confusion. Confused on what's right and what's wrong. Because Esau, being the wicked, they promote what's wrong as being what's right. It's all confusion, man. So that's why the school, right, or the principal even thought it would be okay to do something like that. This is Psalms chapter 82. We can start at verse 1. A psalm of Asaph. The Most High standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Right, that those being Israelites. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness, and all the foundations of the earth are out of course. Why? Because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? As pertaining to Job 9:24. But the foundations of the earth is out of course, man. The foundations of the earth is shrouded in darkness. That's why you can murder your child, right, under the name of abortion. That's why someone who was born as a male, right, can choose to switch their gender and have surgery to remove their rod. That's nothing but wickedness, man. That's nothing but confusion, right? And all of it stems back to where? America, Esau, Edom, but mainly dealing with America because they're that whore, right? That great city. It's Isaiah chapter 5, Salakia. It's Isaiah chapter 5, verse 18. It reads, "Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin, as it were with a cart rope." Right, and this was here in Isaiah chapter 5. He was really addressing Israel, right, the wicked Israelites, but you can apply that to wickedness in general, right, because the Lord hates wickedness in general. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin, as it were with a cart rope, meaning wherever they go, they bring the wickedness with them. Wherever they go, they are wicked, right? They walk in wickedness. They walk laden with sin, right? And that's ultimately, thanks to Esau, Edom, right? Thanks to America, that's ultimately the rest of the world, other than the Lord's elect, right? Other than the Lord's hopeful elect, soon to be elect, Lord willing. Because through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashai, we've been removed from this world spiritually, right, mentally, while everyone else are still under the darkness. Because when you're in darkness, you can't see, and if you can't see what's in front of you, what you're looking at, if you can't see anything, you get what? You get confused. If you were in dark looking at an object, you would be confused on what it is. And that's this world, man. The world is in darkness. It's in confusion. That's why it's full of nothing but wickedness. Again, but who is to thank for that? Right? It's Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Scriptures speak about however a king is, right, so will his people be. I believe that's Ecclesiastes chapter 10, right? It's Ecclesiastes or Sirach chapter 10, verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Right? So, pertaining to Revelation chapter 17, verse 18, America is the great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Right? Ultimately, Esau, Edom. So, if they're the wicked and the earth is under their rule, then this earth will be wicked, or the inhabitants will be wicked, right? Because the earth itself, the earth itself is crying out against this wickedness. And that's why scriptures speak about what? A new heaven and a new earth, right? A heaven and earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? As Apostle Peter puts it. 2 Peter chapter 3, start here at verse 10. It reads, "A new heaven and earth, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up." Why? And this is going into what? The destruction that the Lord is going to bring upon Babylon the Great, right? Upon America, mainly by way of nuclear fire and lasers from his chariots, because this earth needs to be cleansed. That's the destruction that the Lord is coming to bring as judgment, right, for the wickedness. Now, when people read this, a lot of people think that the earth is actually going to be destroyed, but no, it's going to be refreshed, right, made anew. Again, if we keep on reading, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons are ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, right? Seeing that this is coming, how should we be acting in order to avoid this? in order to avoid taking part in that judgment. We got to be walking in righteousness, right, as best we can. Verse 12, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. Right? Because the earth is the earth itself is not literally going to be destroyed, right? And we got to get a new one. But again, it's going to be cleansed. It's going to be purified, right? Example, you can just imagine like a globe, right? You can imagine the earth, and it's wearing a shirt. That shirt is black. But when the Lord returns, he's going to take that black shirt off and put on a white one, right? White representing purity, righteousness, godliness, right? The opposite of wickedness. And that's what we look forward to, right? Look for new heavens and a new earth. And if Apostle Peter is saying we look for a new heaven and new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, he's letting us know what this one dwells in, right? Wickedness, right? Which is evident by what we see, what we hear. And again, it all goes back to who, man? Esau, Edom. Because they're the wicked and they take rule over the earth. Let's go back to Job 9 and 24 real quick. Let's look into this word wicked. The wicked, Rashai, wicked, criminal, guilty one guilty of crime, wicked, guilty of sin against the Most High man, wicked, ungodly, wicked man. Right? So this earth is ruled by the ungodly. So the acts upon this earth, the way this earth is ran, is ungodly. And us, right, walking in the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, walking in the ways of godliness, right, we hope for a world of godliness. And that can't come unless this devil is taken out of the way. The earth needs that cleansing, man, that purging, right? And how is the Lord going to bring that? Fire and blood, fire and bloodshed. He's coming to burn up America, right, as well as other places he sees fit, our land, right, because that place has to be burnt to be cleansed from all the wickedness that the so-called small hats and others are doing over there in our land, claiming to be theirs. But the Lord's also going to bring a lot of bloodshed, man. Scriptures speak about the only way to cleanse bloodshed is with the blood of those that cleansed it, right? Numbers 35. Let's go there real quick. I know it's at the bottom somewhere. We start at verse 30. This is Numbers chapter 35, verse 30. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, but one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. Right? So, if he's a murderer, ain't no having, trying to sympathize or feel bad for him, or oh, this was my brother, so we're just gonna let him slide. Nah. If he's a murderer, death. Right? Take no satisfaction. The Lord is not a respecter of persons. So therefore his commandments aren't going to be as if he were. Right? We can't be respecter of persons. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land unto the death of the priests. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are. For blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I the Lord dwell among the children of Israel. In order for the Lord to clean up a lot of the earth, right, to cleanse a lot of the bloodshed upon this earth, he got to kill the people that caused it, right? And that's what he's coming to do. Judgment and destruction. Let's get Second Esdras, chapter 11. We're down here in verse 41. Right now, this entire chapter is speaking about Rome, but as we read it, you'll see how we can apply it to America, right, to what's going on today. It reads, "For the earth hast thou not judged with truth." Right now here, the earth in their time would be the known world then, right? "For the earth hast thou not judged with truth." Right, and again, applying it today, Esau today, right? They don't judge with truth. They don't judge with justice at all, right? It's quite literally the opposite: corruption, wickedness, iniquity. "For thou hast afflicted the meek, that thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm." Right, going into the Israelites. "Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty." Right, the highest also has looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. Why? Because they filled their cup, right? They did their time, and now that time is ending, right? They did all the wickedness that they were supposed to do, and now it's in their end, right? But again, like I said, this was dealing with the Roman Empire, but we can apply it here today. America's time is up, and we see that by the decline of America. We can see the decline, and it's not until the Lord actually returns and puts an end to it himself that it will completely come to an end, right? And this kind of parallels what we read about the destruction of America, right, in Revelation 18, I think verse 6. We start at verse 5. It's Revelation chapter 18 verse 5. "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities." Right, her sins reached up, unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Right, because the wickedness, they filled their time. Verse 6, "Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled," right, filled to her double. "How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow." Right, ultimately going into their pride. "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her." Right, now again, this is going into the destruction of America, but ultimately the destruction of America spells the downfall of the kingdom of Esau, the rulership of Esau, right? The rulership of the so-called white man, and ultimately the rulership of the heathen in general. Right, we can go to 2nd Ezra 6. When he asked the Lord what would be well, let's just read it. It's 2nd Ezra chapter 6. We start at verse 6. "Then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Meaning, Esau would be in power at the end of this world, right? World, when you go into the word world there, it means aeon or eon, meaning like their rulership, right? It'd be the end of their ruling time. And then Jacob, right, Israel, would begin to rule. And that's going to be a forever kingdom, right? The kingdom of the Most High, through Yahweh Shai. All right, sorry for the interruption, but picking up where I left off, right, I'll just reread this again. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6, Verse 7, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So again, right, this is what this tells us two things. At the end of this world, right, this ruling age, which is the age of the heathen in rule, Esau will be in power, right, the so-called white man. But after they're brought down, Israel will be in power, right? Jacob, you know, it's going to be the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Havashai. It's going to be Yahweh Shai's kingdom, wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? As we read in 2 Peter, right? There won't be no. It's going to be a perfect kingdom, right? A godly world. Forgot where I was, so we're just going to go back to 2nd Ezra 11, right? And continue off on that. We were on verse 43, right? Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. So again, this is dealing with the Roman Empire, but applying it here, right? It's saying that their abominations are fulfilled, right? Their wickedness, the time of them committing that iniquity, doing their wickedness, you know, doing whatever, is done. They're at the end, right? And again, here in Revelation 18, verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Speaking on America, right? Their wickedness, it's filled, right? And it's nearing the end. You know, their time is up, and it can't come any sooner, because this world is truly, it's like the whole world is just death. The whole world is just laden with sin, is laden with iniquity. So it's death, right? Because the ways of wickedness, it ultimately just leads you to death. And that's why all of these kingdoms, all of these rulerships, they all had an end date, right? Because they weren't ruling in righteousness, they were ruling in wickedness. If they were ruling in righteousness, the Lord would have, you know, he wouldn't have had a need to destroy them. But that's not how the Lord made his movie, right? So, you know, they fulfilled their time, and it's coming to an end. And that's what we're waiting for. That's what we hasten, right? We pray that that day comes, and it comes soon. So let's go back to this video.
Is taking legal action.
Let's go back to like.
School principal Matt Evans apologised at the time for the inappropriate material and for not seeking parental consent ahead of the presentation.
Yeah, right there. See, seeking parental consent for bestiality and incest to be a part of a presentation, that shouldn't even have been a thing, because it shouldn't have been there in the first place, man. That's why this kingdom has to go. That's why this world has to end. So with that being said, once more, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Hakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. You know, Lord willing, this video was informative or edifying in some way, shape, or form. And shalom to the whole full elect.